Hello everybody, my name is Walter, and this is episode 18 of my Redstone Commands Series. In this episode, I want to talk about how to give items to players and also how to take them away again. So the two relevant commands here are the give command and the clear command. The give command, as the name implies, is used to give items to players, which is quite useful if you're talking about items or blocks you will not usually find in the natural generated world, and also not in the creative menu. Good examples are at the moment the command block, the structure block, signs that contain JSON text, the debug stick, and so on. The command works by basically throwing the items at the player to pick them up. Now, if the player can do that due to a full inventory, and if they are in creative mode, then the items will instead immediately despawn. If they are in survival mode, the items will just lie around like any other item, with the difference being that only the player they were given to originally can pick them up. Until the last 10 seconds till despawn, within those any player can pick them up again. The second command, the clear command, is subsequently used to remove items from a player's inventory, and subsequently the opposite to the give command. Now let's talk about the commands themselves. So as you can see, they are very similar since they are basically just two sides of the same coin. So the give command starts with give, name of the command. Then you need to specify which players you want to give something to. You can use player names or you can use target selectors here. If you target a non-player entity, nothing will happen essentially. After that, you specify what item type you want to give the player. And optionally, you can also define the NBT data of that item. And finally, also somewhat optionally, you can define how many items you want to give to the player. The default value is 1, so if you just want one command block, for example, you don't need to add a count. You can increase the number up to the equivalent of 100 stacks, at which point the inventory will be full anyway, so it doesn't really matter much beyond that. The clear command, very similar, the main difference being that pretty much all of the arguments are optional. So we start with the clear. Then optionally, we specify which players we want to work with or target. If you don't specify it, it's targeting whoever is executing this command. After that, you will specify which item and optionally which item with a specific MBT data you want to target. If you don't specify it, the entire inventory will be cleared out. And once you have an item determined, you can also define how many items you want to remove at a maximum, obviously, since you can't go into the negative. A special case here is if you set the count to 0, because removing 0 means that you're not changing anything. Instead, what you will get back is the number of those items in the inventory of the player. So this can be used to count items within player inventories or to check whether a player has a certain item in their inventory. With that, let's quickly go through a few somewhat common examples. So here, just if you want one of some item, here as an example, a cookie. More common examples would be command blocks, structure blocks, debug sticks, and so on. Well, as you can see, I executed the command and I got myself a cookie or biscuit as they are named in-game. If you add a number at the back here, you can see 128. This is the equivalent of 2 stacks, and you can see now I have 2 stacks plus 1 cookie. A bit more interesting is when you're working with NBT data. Here we have an oak sign that has some JSON text that itself contains a click event that will, well, let's put it down and see what happens. So as you can see, every time I click on this, I get a quarter stack of cookies again. So a bit of inception going on. I have a book that gives me a sign that gives me, well, cookies. So anyway, here, as I mentioned, clearing the inventory and removing 0 means that I just count how many items of a given type I have in my inventory, or whoever is being targeted, in this instance, myself. And most likely the most common use of the clear command, a simple wipe out of the inventory. This also includes the hotbar, as you can see here, and the offhand. And with that, we have reached the end of this episode about the give and the clear commands. I hope you enjoyed it, and well, see ya!